Here's your host, Chelsea Edwards.
Welcome to another episode of Chattin with Chelsea. I'm your Daytime Bestie, Chelsea Edwards. No matter what your family looks like, we understand that parenting works best when the grown-ups are on the same team. So many of you know that I've been through a divorce, and I also know the joy and responsibility of raising a beautiful son. And through that process, I also learned the importance of cooperation. So today, we are getting into successful co-parenting, from better transitions to better communication. And these tips will actually work for everyone, from two-parent households to blended families to co-parents in different homes. So we're going to learn how to get everyone on the same page, because when the parents work together, the kids win, even if the drop-offs look like this.
Bye, you little scoundrels!
Where are Alfie's shoes?
I think that's a question for him.
Why does Poppy have underwear on her head?
That's her princess crown.
Oh, right.
It's a princess crown.
Alfie's in a dress. I thought you were against that.
It was the only clean item of clothing in the house.
You, going on another date with that 25-year-old?
At least I'm not going to see bloody Slipknot.
Okay, moshing helps with my mom rage.
There's a crock on your roof. If we were still together, I'd help you get it.
Oh, real mature.
Real mature, right? They actually talk during drop-offs. Not everybody has something to say to each other. No. Welcome back, Ashley Keys of Houston Moms Blog. You are our, I feel like, single mom expert, like real life expert. So, how do your drop-offs usually go?
Oh boy. Listen. It's a struggle. You know, we pick it up at each other's houses. Sometimes we have to employ one of the grandmas to step in because things are tense here and there. So one of the grandmas has to do drop-offs because we're struggling to be nice.
Yeah. I think that's part of co-parenting, like figuring out what works, even if y'all don't really work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've been divorced 5 years now, 3 boys. Okay, so let's talk about what works. What else have you discovered?
You know, I have to remind myself often that the kids are most important and that I need to love my kids more than I hate my ex, which sometimes is a struggle.
That is deep, though.
Yeah,
that's good.
You know, I don't hate him, but I very much dislike a lot of the things he does. A lot of the aspects that make him up.
Very nice way of putting it.
Yeah. So, but really putting my kids first and remembering that they are most important, that they need us. They need us to be okay. And so trying my best to, you know, shut my mouth when I need to, hold it in when I need to, play nice, because they need us to be okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's the priority.
Yeah, it's work. You have to consciously try every day.
And it's even, I will say, even something that you have to remind yourself in your own household when it's not during drop-offs or some kind of interaction, because it's so easy to want to talk bad.
Yes.
About the ex.
Oh, absolutely.
And trust, there will be opportunities, but it doesn't necessarily serve the kids.
Absolutely. And you know, you have to maneuver knowing who that person that you're co-parenting with is. You know, they're not going to become better communicators now that you've broken up. If it was already a struggle when y'all were together and loved each other, it's not going to improve now that y'all aren't good. So, you know, knowing exactly who you're working with, knowing, you know, these are the parameters, this is the person, these are the thought processes this person has, these are the ideals this person has, and keeping that in mind and not having like unrealistic expectations like, oh, no, he's going to be real mature today. Listen, if he wasn't real mature back then, it's not just going to just click in and happen now that y'all are separated. You have to really navigate the person you're working with.
Yes, it's almost like a second grieving process because you already have to grieve the divorce and the separation from that person you thought you were going to be with. And then, you know, that view of how you thought the co-parenting
Exactly.
would look, and it doesn't work out that way.
Absolutely. And then also navigating, co-parenting doesn't work for everyone. Working together and being in contact with each other and communicating about all the things does not work for everyone. And I started to recognize that my ex-husband and I were very much parallel parenting, not co-parenting. So we live very different lives. We have very different parenting styles, very different goals for our children. And so we don't communicate that much unless it's, something that we're doing together, like so-and-so has a game today or a performance or a concert or there's an emergency. Outside of that, our lives are very separate. We're just kind of going along doing things. I do things my way at my house on my weeks. You do things your way at your house on your weeks. We shouldn't be commenting on what's happening at either household.
Yeah.
We just have different styles, and you have to accept that. And it's hard. It's so hard recognizing the things that he does there and the things that are okay there, like Roblox and YouTube. And I'm like, no, thank you.
I know you're like just a cringe when you hear those words.
Yeah, I hate all of it. And then they come to my house and it's like, we're not doing that here. And I understand that it's okay at Dad's house. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And it's hard for the kids to grapple with, but also these are my ideals. This is my standard. This is how we do things. And helping them cope with that, and sometimes helping their dad cope with that. You don't run this house. You can run that house over there. This is my house.
Yes. And the other side of that is having to cope with not being the fun parent, because you do have more boundaries, or they're just certain things you've done the research, and so you understand that long term these things may not be the best for your children.
Sure.
So
it's hard. It's hard. They will come
tough.
to me, Dad lets me this. And I'm like, that's great. But also at my house, you have freedom to express your feelings. You matter. Your feelings matter. Your opinion matters at my house. That's not always happening there. And so, I have to take the good with the bad. I have to accept that, hey, I might not always be fun, but you feel safe here.
I love it. I love it. So we talked about how hard it is. So we're bringing in some more help. We've got a therapist coming in to help us with the co-parenting. This is going to help all of us, all right? We'll be right back after this. We want this year to be more peaceful for everyone, including us co-parents. So welcome Tara Greer of Southland Counseling. You see people in your practice, co-parents, who struggle with different things, right?
All the time.
What is something that you always remind them of or need to remind them of?
I think primarily, it is okay when we end a relationship. Ideally, in a perfect world, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's harmonious, all those things, right? Largely, most times, we don't end it that way, right? And so every adult in every side of the partnership here that's, dissolving, they have their rights to their feelings, their sadness, their anger, their feelings of abandonment, betrayal, whatever it is, directed towards their partner. Totally understandable, right? What we have to remember is that these children, they absorb everything. Now, that doesn't mean you don't be sad.
Yeah.
But in terms of what they hear, even if you don't think they're listening, what they are taking in, even the eye rolls and the scoffs, right? They are absorbing every piece of this, right? So the first thing I always want to really, really hone in with parents, and by the way, all these things are workable. We can go to therapy, and so you need to talk bad about Dad, come do it to me.
Okay.
Tell Tara about what Dad's doing, right? We're not telling little Johnny.
Okay. That's a real solution right there.
Because this is an adult problem, and we are going to keep adult problems. If Mom or Dad didn't pay their child support on time this month, that's not a Johnny issue. That's a Mom and Dad issue.
Okay. You're right.
And we don't want Johnny. We're not going to tell Johnny, hey, tell your dad that he needs to know. We can't know. This is not a Johnny issue.
Okay. So even as tempting as it might be.
Even though we are angry and we are upset, know that these kids are also having feelings too. Maybe they're not sharing it, right? But they're trying to navigate a world where the family system, as they know, it's different. They're having to adapt and to adjust
Yeah.
to living at two different homes, having two different holidays, having two different sets of rules, which you guys discussed, and I would like to talk about that more. So are you and your ex-partner going to agree on everything? Clearly not. We wouldn't be exes. Right. But we do have to work it out in therapy. We do have to find another way. And again, we are going to keep adult problems.
Yeah.
We've got to.
Number one rule.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about those different sets of household rules, because one of the things that will happen, and I had to learn about this, is the transition. Like getting my son from his dad's house and being like, who is this kid? Because how they live over there is completely different.
Certainly.
Than my house.
So we discuss this in session so very often that sometimes it depending on the age of the child, right? A 6-year-old is going to behave differently than a 16-year-old. But think about this. This child is having to adapt to learning two different ways of life, two different beds, two different sets of rules, two different whatever. And so I hear very often, when Johnny comes back from dad's house, it takes him 3 days just to kind of get back in the rhythm, in the groove of the house. And he may act out. That's when we see large behavior issues, right? It's not because Johnny's a bad kid. Johnny's just trying to deal with what's being thrown onto Johnny. Johnny didn't ask for any of this, by the way. And so we have to be very empathic to Johnny, and this is where parents communicate. So let's talk about the Jews, right? You guys have to communicate. Now, sometimes that's not easy, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that one household is going to do it differently than another household. But for the sake of kids, can we agree? The kids go to bed at 9.
Okay.
All the way around. Can we agree that that's going to be a thing? Not only does that keep the kids structured on a routine, they know what to expect. So then we don't have the behavior that comes from not knowing what to expect, right? That oftentimes comes. There are small things that parents can't, like basics, that we can agree on. So maybe we have a different discipline style. Okay, we do it this way at dad's house, this way at mom's house. But we can all agree that, 12 hours a day on the Xbox is not going to be appropriate no matter where you're at. Parents can agree on this. And they should, because kids need structure. They just do. And if everybody can keep in mind that it's not about you, mom and dad, it just is not. If you, put your money where your mouth is, we are going to come up with a plan for these kids. Go to therapy together. That's a hard ask.
Ooh, I was going to ask, do people actually do that?
They
Co-parents
do.
actually will go to therapy together.
They do. So many families do this very beautifully.
Okay.
So I don't want to sit here and sound as though we are doomed when we get a divorce. You are not.
Right. Okay.
We do, I want every parent to process their own stuff. You have to do that individually. But absolutely, parents come in together as a family. You'll see mom over here, you'll see the other, the ex over here, and then we'll see Johnny individually, and then we'll come together because I'm hearing this perspective, I'm hearing this perspective, I'm certainly hearing Johnny's perspective.
Yeah.
Learning about what behaviors are happening, and we get underneath the why of those behaviors. Again, I always tell people in therapy that every one of us, we're a product of our models, our genetics, and our experiences.
Right.
Models are usually our parents. Genetics, can't help that, right? Experiences, that is something like the breakdown of a family unit. That's a traumatic experience for a kid, right? And trauma is usually the experience. But when you think about it for a child, models, genetics, and experiences, children have no control over any of those three things.
Right.
Right. And so we have to be mindful of that as parents, even though we are going through our own things. Say we split and I have to, I'm working as a single mother now. I have bills to pay on one income. I'm going through heartbreak. I'm going through all these things, right? Everyone has their things. We understand that. So I need mom and dad, if that's what, the family system is, I need them to process their things, heal from the breakup themselves and whatever else, childhood, we always get, we always go to childhood.
There's always some of that in there.
And know that every way that we handle this situation with these children, because they are a product of their models, genetics, and experiences, will have everything to do with the adults they become, the parents they become, the partners they become. And so if for nothing else, we can put our own stuff aside. I don't want to not even put it aside. We can heal and deal ourselves individually as parents.
Yes.
But there's a bigger picture here. There's a bigger purpose here. It is to make sure that these children survive this.
Yeah.
And I mean emotionally, of course.
Yes, yes. That is the goal. And so thank you for adjusting our perspective. That is going to help carry us through. But first, we got to take a commercial break before we get even deeper into that, okay? More co-parenting right after this. We could use all the help we could get when it comes to co-parenting. So we are back with Tara Greer, and then we brought Ashley back as well because you got so much life experience and probably more questions. Like, I have more questions. You were talking about communicating, you know, trying to get the parents on the same page, bedtime or whatever. How would you actually communicate that, especially when you're dealing with a parent who may not be or may not have been previously receptive to your suggestions?
Which is going to be very common, right?
Right,
if
right.
we were all having a good time here, we'd still be in the same house, right? But what I recommend people do is get ahead of things, right? So let's not wait until I'm mad at you and you're mad at me for some whatever thing it is.
Yeah.
Let's say, hey, ex-husband, can we just have a 30-minute phone call, right? We lay out expectations, right? So, hey, I agree, even if I'm angry at you. I will not be talking about it in front of the kids. I will not be calling you names. Like, you and I can have civil discourse even when we're angry with each other. We know we have to do this because the mission here is these children. So get in front of it. That's even for people who are still together. Get in front of your argument. How are we going to handle it when we have a disagreement? Get in front of it, and then each of you honor it.
So good, so good. Okay, Ashley, I saw your reaction.
I'm like
of
taking
it.
notes. I'm like, I
Especially when-
haven't been getting in front of it. That's for sure.
and not in the heated situation. That's when we're going to take a beat. But did you have a question for Tara as well?
Some tips, if you have any, about introducing new people into the picture, significant others. You know, I've been dating and I have a significant other for the last 3 years. And what would you have done in that situation? He's already been introduced at this point, but just kind of navigating that relationship, that connection with each other.
Wonderful question. Because, you know, with most people, this is probably going to happen, right? We can all expect it. We all want it to happen. We want everyone to move on and be happy and all of those things, right? So many people engage in sort of blended family systems. Beautifully and wonderfully, right? It's not always the evil stepmom or the evil stepdad.
Right.
It's not that. Now, in terms of co-parenting, so I guess to answer your question, before I get into the parenting part of it, you love your children. You know what's good for you, healthy for you, safe for you. Almost all parents will, you know, apply that judgment to who they introduce their children to and expose, you know, introduce into their children's lives. And so now where it gets complicated sometimes is where co-parenting is concerned. Here's what I need you to see this as, all of you. I need you to see it as, how grateful am I, even if I want to hate her, even if I don't like her being able to spend more time with my kids than I get to spend, even if maybe I disagree with how she does things or whatever, or maybe I'm insecure and jealous. I'm going to let all that go, right? And here's how I'm going to change my perspective. I'm going to say that I am grateful that here's this one person who can be one more healthy, appropriate, safety factor for my children. I may not love her. She may have been the reason my divorce happened. Who knows? But at the end of the day, again, this is not about me. It's not about him. This is about these kids. And so for the sake of that, I'm going to be grateful. I don't have to talk to her every day. We don't have to be besties. But I can live with this because this is one person that my child can call on. If they're in trouble, if they need an ear, if they need support with something. And I'm going to put my pride aside and I'm going to let that happen.
Okay. But what if you are the person like Ashley, you have that new relationship and you want your ex to have that perspective, but we can't control that.
No, you can't. So, but going back to the getting in front of it. Right? Certainly you're going to probably let your ex know, hey, a new person, I've started dating and it's getting serious and they've met the kids and maybe we're going to the next step and they're going to move in. So yeah, we probably want to let dad know about that. But in terms of the getting in front of the conflict and the communication part of it, hey, like as we're laying out boundaries for each other, I know you may have some feelings about this, maybe you don't even like it. And, of course, this is a hard part of us both moving on with our lives and finding peace in our lives. But I would appreciate it. Can we agree that we're not going to say disparaging things about new partner person? This is going to be a person in the kid's life. So can you, and even ask, it is okay to just blatantly ask someone to do a thing, right? Can you see this, or can you start working on, just give it some thought, sleep on it. Can you sleep on the idea that this person does actually genuinely care about these kids? They want what's best for these kids. They want what's best for me, right? And if they want what's best for me, it's because we're a package deal here, right? So can you, even if you don't love it, X, can you please appreciate that? You don't have to be besties with them. You don't have to call. You don't have to go have beers after work. You don't have to do any of those things. But can you just see this as one added support for these children?
Oh, I love that. I love that so
That's what
much.
I've been trying to get my kids to
May I add really
understand.
quick? They're not taking your place. They don't want to be dad. I just want to throw that in really quickly.
So
They
good.
don't want to be dad. They just want to be a support.
Yeah, and that could help ease the situation. I love that. Okay, guys, we got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after this. Thank you for watching this episode of Chattin' with Chelsea. Thank you to Southland Counseling and Houston Moms Blog for helping us with our co-parenting woes. You guys have to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chattin' with Chelsea. Keep up with us on social at Chelsea Show Fox, and we'll see you on the next Chattin' with Chelsea.